South Africa got a joke, guys. I mean, like, imagine saying city. I'm from Azania. I mean, Azanian. What are you from, Chomi? I'm from Azania. Ayiwo guys, kumagama onke bawacingileyo man kodwa gqi Azania sana. Azania. I'm from Azania. Yes, I'm Azanian. Yo, guys, no, it's not all.
Azania, my bro? You're telling me I'm going to have to call myself Azanian instead of like Safa if I want to be really Afrikaans, saying I'm from South Africa? Nah, my bro, I'm from Azania. Doesn't sound bad. I kind of like the ring to it. But everybody is saying how the government should focus on more important things than renaming us. But I like to be positive. And y'all are missing the bigger picture. If we are called Azania, then imagine this. We're on a website. You need to choose what country are you from. Drop down list. Boom. At the front, Azania, my guy. I think that's a W. Also, just look at that amazing Azanian sunset. It's kind of got a ring to it. You should probably follow me.
So listen to this. There's a proposal to change South Africa's name to the Republic of Azania. The African Transformation Movement says South Africa is a colonial name forced on us by the British and the Boers, and they want to reclaim their identity and heritage with Azania. But critics argue that Azania isn't even widely accepted and it doesn't really connect to the country's history or cultures. But that's not all. They want constitutional changes as well, like swapping the word everyone for citizens so that rights and services go only to South Africans, not foreigners. And then they want the parliament to have more power than the courts, limit land ownership by foreign nationals, and nationalize mineral resources so locals benefit. So, Republic of Azania, do you think this is revolutionary or unnecessary? Tell me what you think.
Let's unpack why Black South African freedom fighters went with the name Azania as a replacement for South Africa. As a point of departure, South Africa did not have a universal name for the landmass that every ethnicity in it agreed to. They only had names for the specific nations of specific ethnicities. So, for example, KwaZulu for the Zulu people, and then you had Basotho people having their own name for their place, etc., right? And so, now the problem is that with the way South Africa is so ethnically diverse, it would be an issue to pick a name, a native name, without causing offense to the other people. Because even if there were to be a referendum, majority of South Africans are Nguni, particularly Zulu. And so minorities probably wouldn't be able to have a say. So freedom fighters had to be creative. So the moniker Azania was created by the Pan-African Congress and Black consciousness intellectuals in general. Black consciousness was a movement during apartheid that basically resisted with the fact that it's a racist nation, as well as the fact that it's a colonial settler state. It centers Blackness and reclaiming our identity. Let's look at the etymology or the origin of the word Azania. So, Azania is a Greek transcription of the Arabic name Ajam, which refers to the East African shore, which consists of Ethiopia, Kenya, Somalia, and Tanzania. And so the argument is that, but then that's East Africa, it's not Southern Africa, but hold on. So, etymologically, the name, the word Zanj is a Persian word that means black. It's also viewed to be an Arabic word, but then bear in mind that Swahili isn't a purely African language. It is slightly influenced by Arabic, dating back to centuries before Christ. So in its vocabulary, you will find some words that have Arabic origin. And so to then say that Swahili is a colonial language just because of that is not really fair, and it's kind of the same thing for Azania. Even though Azania referred to the East African coast, the whole point was to have a Pan-African identity. because the way that the Pan-African Congress and freedom fighters viewed it was that South Africa, well, Africa was not free until South Africa was free and until every single African country is free. They disregarded the fact that it referred to East Africa alone, because all of these borders between Tanzania, what, were colonially imposed. It's not borders that actually existed. And so Africa was basically a landmass consisting of different ethnicities. You can also see the Pan-Africanness in the similarity of some African countries. So in isiZulu, right, Zansi refers to south, right? And so what the freedom fighters saw is that when they took the ZA and compared it to other African countries, like ZA or Z. So for example, you see that most of these countries are found in the southern hemisphere, like Zanzibar, Mozambique, Zambia, Zaire, Tanzania. Okay. Now, lastly, we have established that Ajam was the East African coast. We have established that Zanj is a Swahili-related word that means black people. We have established that Za draws on the Zulu word Zansi. And now the last thing is that is the word Nia. So the word Nia is a Swahili word which refers to the innermost part of a person, our minds, our conscience, our heart, and our purpose, our motivation, right? Nia is one of the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, which basically means to build a collective purpose for the building and developing of a community to restore African people to their traditional greatness. Then Iya is a Greek or Latin suffix which means place. Now, when you put all of these things that I've discussed together, you get the land of black people. Azania means the land of black people. And so it's not accurate to say that it's Arabic. And so essentially, it is a creation of black freedom fighters. Azania thus became a symbol for the black liberation struggle because freedom fighters rejected the name South Africa because of the fact that, number one, it isn't a name that we picked. Secondly, the name South Africa was founded in 1910 by the British and the Dutch when they named this place the Union of South Africa. But this union was not inclusive of people of color. The union was purely between white people because only white people were recognized as citizens, whereas the rest of us were strangers on our own land. Now, the last matter of why Azania has significant importance. So in light of all of this above, South African decolonial scholars basically created a school of thought called Azanian political thought, which is based on, African philosophies like Ubuntu, centering Ubuntu. Till today, you have intellectuals, for example, Joel Modiri, Mogobe, Ramose, and Ndumiso Dladla, who use the term Azanian political philosophy to problematize the existence of South Africa. The fact that the so-called New South Africa was not an independent state. It's still a settler state. All that happened is black people got civil rights, but then white people remained with the land. So Azania was seen as a vision for a post-conquest South Africa that is ruled by black people, based on black philosophies and based on black identity and history. African cultural heritage, like our songs, our poetry, it draws on speeches of freedom fighters like Robert Sobukwe and stuff like that. It's literally now a whole academic discipline that is used in social science, especially in political science and law. Because of the fact that Azania was constructed for all those reasons I outlined, it is basically derived from African culture African knowledge systems and experiences. It originated in the anti-apartheid and anti-colonial struggle. It aims to restoring the sovereign title to territory to indigenous Black people, as in only Black people have ownership of the land, hence land expropriation without compensation. And then, because they view ANC as a civil rights movement, because South Africans didn't get their land back. They were only incorporated into South Africa and got civil rights. Secondly, it basically says that South Africa is an illegitimate state because it basically legitimizes colonization, since white people still have ownership of the land. And so South Africa itself must be abolished and become an independent state, because as it stands, it's a settler colonial state. So as you see, Azania isn't just a word that was pulled from Arabic people. Azania was a politically intentional word that was created by freedom fighters that not only embodies South Africanness in a way that is inclusive without prioritizing one tribe/ethnicity over the other. And regardless of its origins, what matters is that it is Black people who chose that name, whereas South Africa, what were imposed on us. But it is worth noting that apparently the word that the queer people used for South Africa was, I think it's Naremab, or was it Marenab? I mean, Namerab, yeah. But anyway, so this is why. I know this is a long video, but I don't think there was any way to make it brief.
Hello and welcome back to this episode. You are so much welcome. If you are new here, you are free to subscribe. We would really appreciate. Today we were discussing about South Africa wanting to change its name to Azania, and I was looking at the origin of that name Azania, and I discovered that it does not come from South Africa. It actually originated from the Arabs and the Greek, referring to the southern part of Africa. But again, during the apartheid regime, the Pan-Africanists actually reimagined that name to mean that it means freedom, it means black pride, it means Africans to be free. And now thinking about it, though there is so much criticism that the name does not come from South Africa, but I was feeling that it is justifiable, because if they start looking at a different name, it will actually come from a certain community, let's say the Zulu community, and therefore the other community may feel that they are left out. And that is why I'm still justifying that the name Azania, it is still valid. South Africa to change to Azania is still valid. Now, I still that it's a nice thing, because we know that South Africa and Ghana are the leading Pan-African countries in Africa. That goes without saying. And I think it's a good move, but there is still a but, because despite that the name will show respect to those people who fought against apartheid regime, and it will reignite the African pride and the South African people to actually feel motivated and actually feel that they are not inferior, they are superior, and they can work and build their countries. It's actually nice. It's also a good message to the colonizers that South African it's not entertaining this colonization and white supremacists. But despite that, there is still some very valid consequences, because I think that it will cost a lot, because it will cost the South Africans to rebrand everything, licenses, birth certificate, rebrand their ambassadors, offices, rebrand almost everything, several pains, several landmarks will have to be changed, and it will cost a lot of money, the money that would be used to solve some problems, some current problems in South Africa or in Africa in general. But another thing I would want to say is that I think that unless the name Azania come with a full package of changing even the education system, even the rewriting our history, not depending on the history that was written by the same colonizers, therefore suppressing other truths and actually pushing their narrative, I think changing the name itself will be null and void. So I think as a young generation we need to look up to that, because if we will only change the name and then the same political elites still remains in power, the same stories still go on and on, the same people who still don't want to face the actual problems facing South Africans, that they need land, they need to reclaim land, that the youth needs job, and I think that South Africa have got resources to, to do better. Unless the name and Azania will come with that package, changing the name itself is actually null and void. And we have heard from several creators, and thanks to the content creator, and credits goes to those contents that I have used to actually elaborate this. But having said that, let me know what you think about this episode. Let me know what you think about the whole thing of changing the South African name to Azania. Until we meet next time, peace, love, and harmony. Please don't forget to subscribe if you have not done so.